What is going on, people from the to welcome back to another Pancho Things. Right, so it's Sunday. The cold front that we're getting here in Texas is just coming through right now, and I'm just taking the opportunity to do a quick video on how to save money with propane. Problem that we're having is that this is our first year. We're renting this property, so this is our first year here, so we don't know how insulated the property is and how the AC is going to handle this, and also we don't know if we're going to be losing power. So I had to kind of like get ready for it. So I'm going to show you a couple of things that I do that save me tons of money with propane, and in this case it's going to come handy in case I will lose power. I got plenty of propane to get me by. So let me get you guys in the tripod and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So currently it's blowing about 20 degrees or so, which is not bad, but it's gonna go down to the 10th, between tonight and tomorrow. So look at this, because these things just come out of the freezer. So we all know our little 1-pounders cylinders for propane. These in stores, I think the pack of 2 are around $9 for 1 pound of propane versus big old cylinder of propane. This thing was well, I had to buy the tank because I didn't have a tank, but refilling it is about, if I'm not mistaken, it's about like $27. This holds 15 pounds of propane, so that was once again $26 if you refill it if you already have the tank. If you have to buy the tank, then it's going to be way more expensive than that, which I end up paying like 75 bucks. But then when I need to refill this, it's going to be $26. So what I'm talking about is this little beautiful device right here. This is let me see if we can camera. Okay. This little beautiful device is a coupler that goes from the big tank to the smaller tanks, and then I'm gonna show you how you refill them. Now here's the kicker. Propane is liquid, but when you have propane in these tanks, what is near to the top is only vapors. So one of the things that we need to do is grab those little green containers. That's why I'm wearing my gloves, besides that I don't want to get propane on my hands. But those containers, you gotta put them in the freezer for a couple hours. The idea is to make sure that all the vapors and everything is even down in pressure. It's gonna be liquid, it's gonna be on a cool format. So we wanna make sure that when we transfer cool to the container, the cool propane to the container is cool. So we got more liquid versus vapors, if that makes any sense. So I'll show you how we're gonna do this. First thing, if you notice, I don't know, well yeah, you actually can see, here is the only stop valve that we have. So meaning we're gonna have to put this guy first in here before you open the valve. So get this guy in here, we're gonna hit a little, make sure that that's nice and tight in there. Then we're gonna grab our cylinder. Stick our cylinder. Nice and tight. So, because it's liquid, if I fill it up right now, all I'm gonna get in the tank is vapor. So what I'm gonna do is flip the whole container, the whole cylinder down, so I can have the liquid towards the valve. Then I'm gonna open, and it's gonna make some sounds just to let me know that it's filling. So it's kind of, let's see if we can hear. It's kind of noisy outside. So let's grab our container upside down. We're gonna open our valve. You can hear it. here we are. So once it's full, close your valve. Tightly close the valve. We'll flip this guy over. So your valve is really tight and close. Now, as I mentioned before, there is only one valve, this one. So I need to take this tank first and then replace it with the next one. And when I'm done doing all the tanks, I got like another 6 tanks that I need to fill up. We'll get the connector out. So I'm gonna show you what happens when you take this valve out. So once again, we make sure that this is closed. We grab our little green container. You're gonna hear probably a little bit of propane that's gonna shoot out. That is just the remaining propane in the line. There it goes. An extra 1 pound of propane right there. So I'm gonna do these. I'm gonna do the rest of them, and then I'm gonna tell you a couple of other extra things in here. Okay? Alright, so there we go. So a couple things to mention. One, once again, you gotta make sure that the temperature on the canisters, the green, the 1 pounders, needs to be really, really, really cold. Once again, the propane is cold by nature and it's liquid. So if you have those tanks and they're empty or they're somewhat empty, and you just connect them directly, you're transferring cold propane to a canister that is way higher on temperature, which will expand gases and actually could, a couple of things can happen. One, the container can, the amount of gases and the fumes that are inside of the container plus the ones that you're introducing with the liquid might create way too much of a compression, and the canister can either explode or the propane can start shooting out. So you don't want that. And the second thing is to make sure that once the transferring starts happening, there is an equilibrium within the temperatures, and you don't want that temperature to fluctuate too much, because then you might not end up having a full pound of propane in there. You might end up with 3/4 of a pound of propane versus a pound. So you'll be thinking, well, I have a pound, but not really. You might end up with less than that. The other thing to remember is you gotta do this outside. You don't want to do this inside. You don't want that propane to be in those vapors, to be inhaling those vapors inside in the house. More if you have pets or there's other people in the house. You want to do that outside. There's an accident, anything happens, you're outside, you're in the safe, you're in the clear. Glove and eye protection. So the reason why I'm doing this is because, one, I use a lot of these tanks when I'm hunting. Commodore uses those containers for his warmer that we put under his blind. So this year, actually, that's going to be another video. We're going to talk about all the gear that actually suffers damages through the season and why I think about it. Some of that gear is only a year old, so we're going to go over that at one point. But that's the reason why I use a lot of those. But since the freeze is coming, the freeze is here. We don't know if we're going to lose power. We don't know if something around those natures are going to happen. And as I mentioned before, this is the first year that we do a winter in this house. So we don't know if we're going to have to rely on those things. And I have a camping stove that, worst comes to worst, we can use a camping stove to eat and all the kind of stuff. Now, you will probably say, well, why didn't you buy like a camping stove that you can attach directly into the big tank of propane? And I said, well, here's the deal. I'm not a big fan of propane, to be honest, and if anything will happen, I would rather to be one of those little canisters, the ones that blows up, versus that big old thing of propane. So, and I'm not a fan is because accidents can happen, things can happen, and I don't want any of that. Now, another thing, a disclaimer that I know you put in there, those canister, even that pretty much that's kind of like the format how they fill them in other places and all through the valve that they have in the top of the canister. This is something that is not recommended. Manufacturer will tell you it's not recommended because, or either they want you to pay more on propane, or because of the health issues that can cause if any of those containers get to explode or anything like that. But once again, I literally just filled up. So let's do a quick math here. Let's say that it was $26. $26. We're gonna divide right now. I did six containers. So let's say that thing is 17. So $26 divided by 17. That's putting you at $1.52 for one of those canisters. So versus $9 in the store. That is saving right there. More when you're in a situation like this where you might have to rely on that for quite some time if anything gets to happen. This is the magic tool. This is the nozzle that goes in the canister, the 1 pound canister, and this one is the one that goes to the big tank of propane. So you can find these guys on Amazon, and I know there are certain places that you can find them, like camping stores, survivalist stores, stuff like that. I know that you can find them. They're a few bucks. Like I think that I paid for this one like $5 or some change. And I've been sitting and using this for quite some time. I think that this thing is about 3 years old now, and it still works like a champ. But yeah, I think it's about like $4 or $5 for this. I don't know the current price, but it's about that price. Now, you know, if you are like the type of person that uses a lot of those because you're camping or because you cook outside and you have a lot of little portable cooking ware and stuff like that, or you're a caterer and you refill these things often, get you one of these and get you one of your big propane tanks. As I mentioned, I had to buy the tank. I didn't have one, so it was like $76. But once that was $76 including the fill. So out of those $76, we gotta take $26 out. That's what you're going to be refilling every time that you exchange the tank for a one that is full. So, but you have about 17 to 18 charges of propane out of that one big tank. So there you go. Just a quick video there for you guys to save some money if you use a lot of propane, like if you use a lot of those little 1 pounder propanes like I do, or if you're in a situation like this where you don't know what's going to happen and you want to be ready. Now you can save some money. Thank you so very much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, click the notification bell so you can be notified every time that I upload a video, and I will see you in the next one. Pancho out.